either for inviting my brother, his kid, and his ex to my wedding, but not my brother's new partner and kid. My 27F brother, 32M, was engaged to my best friend Julia, 30F, like 8 years ago. They had a son, Josh, 7M. Julia and my brother broke up because he was caught cheating with a man on Julia. They separated, and my brother ended up marrying that man, 31M, 3 years ago. They also have an adopted son, Max, 6M. BW Julia and I are still best friends. My brother's stupidity did affect our friendship. I'm getting married to my wonderful fiancé Ben this October. Julia's of course going to be there since she is my best friend, and she has requested that I didn't invite my brother's husband because he makes her feel uncomfortable. I delivered the invitations 2 weeks ago, so I sent it my brother. It specified on the invitation that it was only for my brother and Josh. He called me asking if there was mistake, and reminded me that his household is for people, but I told him that his husband is invited for obvious reasons and that Max could make Julia feel uncomfortable, so to avoid drama, I was only inviting him and Josh. He told me that he would never allow his husband and son to be disrespected this way. I asked him that he should at least let Josh come, but he refused. My parents found out and called me tough for prioritizing a friend over my brother, and Ben seems to be on their side. I mean, Julia and my brother don't get along, and Julia hates my Bill, so I want to avoid drama. I can't please everyone, and my brother is on a place where he can't request to be pleased because of what he did to Julia. Everyone seems to be on my brother's side and are calling me, and not to the point where I reconsider inviting my Bill and asking Julia to make an effort to ignore them. Edit. After reading all of your comments, I want to say some things to clarify. Yes, I've stopped by excluding Max from the wedding. I'll apologize for trying to exclude this sweet little boy. We have decided that Max and Josh will be the ring bearers. Yes, we'll have to. Ben invited Bill anyway. Ben and Bill are cousins, so Bill is coming. I asked Julia to make an extra effort to avoid them, and she says she'll try. Someone asked me why Julia doesn't have custody. Well, it's because of her actual situation. Not gonna get into more details for privacy. Some asked me if Bill and Josh get along. Yes, like father and son. He doesn't even know Bill was the AP and the reason his parents broke up. This doesn't mean I abhor of cheating, it's just that I love my brother and I want him there, and Ben loves his cousin and wants him there too. NTA. My answer would be different if the dude wasn't a fair partner, but then I imagine Julia wouldn't take an issue with it if that hadn't happened. Plus, your wedding, your rules, and the 6-year-old. He didn't have anything to do with the affair, and it's ridiculous that Julia would take issue with him, or that Up would agree with banning him. I hate that this is the top comment. Clear it up, and gross to do that to a kid. Also gross that so many in the comments see no issue to how she's wronging her nephew. Makes me feel icky. Edit. Up. I hope you read this and realize you can still fix this with your nephew and not be tired. So many people on Ida see the word cheater and instinctively vote in Tia, without realizing that your actions are causing actual harm here. It doesn't matter who the partner is, you invite one, you invite the other. If you want him there, then you're going to have to suck it up and invite his husband. If you don't, you are choosing your friend over your brother. That's not necessarily wrong, but it was an odd move to try and go halfway. It was rude. Either do or don't. 22F. My BF, 26M, falsely accused me of manipulation when I was crying, and I still can't forgive him. My BF raised his voice at me, and it was apparently a joke. I didn't register that he was joking at the moment, so I started crying. I grew up in a household with a very verbally abusive parent, and it causes me to cry whenever someone yells or raises their voice at me. I cry because I feel intense emotions of fear, shame, and worthlessness when I'm being yelled at. I've tried to stop it, but I've come to the realization that it's unfortunately instinctual since I've experienced it my entire life. He believed I wasn't actually crying and wasn't really upset, and I was instead trying to emotionally manipulate him into doing what I wanted. My BF then made a couple of crude jokes about how he couldn't see that many tears in my eyes and made a show of feeling my tissues to see if they were wet. To say I was insulted is an understatement. I felt really disgusted and offended. We had a pretty lengthy discussion about this incident, and I explained to him, when I was in a calmer headspace, why this hurt me so much. His ex had borderline personality disorder and would pull that behavior on him frequently, which is why he thought I was doing the same thing as her. He seemed genuinely remorseful and apologized. He hasn't made fun of my emotions or tears since. That should be good enough, but I still feel hurt from what he initially said to me. I don't know what I can do to completely forgive him and actually move on. I'm also scared to bring this up again because I feel like he's just going to be frustrated that I haven't moved on from it. Comments. There are tons of red flags in your post. For one thing, your BF has totally deflected from the initial incident, which was physically and verbally traumatizing for you. Let me ask this. It's one thing to accuse your partner of being manipulative, but why on earth was he mocking you and making crude jokes about it? Is that really the behavior of an innocent partner who fears manipulation? A person who cries easily as a result of trauma, and a person who reacts to crying with suspicion and contempt as a result of trauma might not be a great match. Ida, for refusing to let my husband pull $14K out of my account without signing a contract. I, F36, have been married to my husband, M42, for 2 years. I've never been married before him, but he was married twice and has 6 kids. He requested our finances to be split. Fine by me, because seeing how he blows through his money is so frustrating. He says he has kids, commitments, and has to provide, but I don't think that kids will need that much money to live like the other kids. His bank account is always almost empty, while mine has over 20K. We take turns paying for daily expenses and stuff. Lately, he's been struggling with money. He borrowed from a number of people, including my own brother, about 4K from him just a week ago. He just seemed desperate for money. I asked what the deal was, and he said that he needed the money for the kids, which seemed fishy since kids don't really need that much money for their expenses. The eldest is 16. He came and asked to borrow 14K from me, pull it from my account and into his. I tried asking him what he needed the money for, but he said it was none of my business, then insisted that he'll return it ASAP. I said okay, but under the condition that he sign a contract stating he'll return the money in full. He acted all shocked and offended, then went on about how I don't trust him and his word. I told him that's all I got and this was my one and only condition. He kept ranting about how I'm refusing to help and making the situation more difficult for him instead of cooperating. I insisted on a contract to be signed before he even pulls a penny, and this morning, when I told him this one more time, he blew up and said that we're family and that I should be ashamed for involving courts and lawyers between family. He left the house and was so upset he hasn't responded to any of my calls yet. Ida, for standing my ground with this condition. Update: hi. So we've talked after he got home, and when I tried pressing him to tell me what he needs the money for, he gave the same attitude and said I don't have to worry about it. I still stood by the condition I made, and he called me fucking useless, then stormed off to spend the night with that God knows who. Comments. NTA, this sounds like a dick behavior. Is he a gambler? If it was drugs, he'd be asking for smaller amounts more often, but this sounds like gambling debt. He insisted that he'll return it ASAP. Sounds like he's counting on that big win. Op is NTA for sure. I hope she had a prenup. Husband needs help. Also his claim that he can pay it back ASAP. If it was anything else in this situation, he would most likely talk about a payment plan. But if he's bad into gambling, he's probably thinking if he can just get the money to get back in the game, he'll win back his losses and pay off his debts. Up, you need a new stipulation to lending him money. You need to look at his banking history, including all his credit cards. Even without a loan, you should be asking, because his money spending is not normal.